Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. You're listening to The Wake Up today, and on the show, Joe Biden is weighing getting into the race. Will Howard Schultz stop him, or will it be possibly vice versa? An actual Democrat actually take up the centrist position. I say let them all run, but preferably in the Democratic Party so they could split the vote literally just as much as possible among their already very small constituency. So yeah, a lot of stuff to play around with today. We're going to do it all for you. All right, yeah, and of course we start with the Democrats. So let's take a first shot of 2020 news. Let's have a nice espresso with a shot of 2020 and a dash of centrism and a dash of idiocy. How about that? Howard Schultz announcement that he's seriously weighing an independent presidential bid in 2020 has provoked a pretty razor-sharp backlash from Democrats who insist the former Starbucks CEO would aid and abet President Trump's re-election if he runs as an independent. But Schultz's interest in a centrist throw-all-the-bums-out candidacy has also been pretty instructive for some Democrats across the spectrum. They believe it makes the case for or against Joe Biden to step into the arena, a possibility that he said he's still weighing right now. Saying, I'm making a decision now whether or not I'm the right person because it's important. It's critically important that we change the atmosphere. He's right, and he's not the right person. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know whether it'd be better for the country if he decides to run, because I really don't think he's going to win. I mean, there's just pretty much a general perception as soon as he gets in the race, he's going to collapse, almost kind of like a Jeb Bush type figure, if you remember him from the last election, and pretty much giving way to a Donald Trump, Ted Cruz type person. Not that Ted Cruz was even any good, but still, you get the point there. But some the activists who contend that those representing the corporate-friendly centrist wing of American politics are just out of touch where voters are at today. Waleed Shahid, I should read that quote better. So Schultz's semi-launch is seen by some grassroots organizers as a precursor to the problems that candidates in similar moderate lanes like Biden and former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg might face if they sought the 2020 nomination in today's Democratic Party, saying, quote, these activists contend that those representing the corporate-friendly centrist wing of American politics are just out of touch with where voters are today. That's from Waleed Shahid, Communications Director of Justice Democrats. And I don't think that the electorate is excited for the Bill Clinton-style policy that an economic philosophy that Biden brings. He has way more baggage than Schultz, from Anita Hill to basically overseeing everything Black Lives Matter is protesting. That's pretty cool, and it's not pretty cool actually. I don't know why I said that. What is wrong with me? But still, the point is he has a lot of baggage. He's absolutely right. He has a mass crime bill. He has overseen the Anita Hill hearings. That's something, and a bunch of ties to Wall Street. And here's the thing: he pretty much pushed a Republican across the finish line in a battleground district, swing state in Michigan, in literally the last election. And he won't apologize for it. He's like, if I love Republicans, forgive me for I have sinned, or whatever stupid thing he said. But pretty much the point is, and that he's really going to have to realize it, just for sure, is that, here's the thing, like, they don't like that anymore. Like, no one wants to hear that. It's just literally that simple. No one wants to see you do anything of that sort. We're not in a time of partisanship. You're just not. So, yeah, that's the important thing to realize there. These activists, they say that, but on the other hand, there's a good argument to be made that there are too many Democrats already running the progressive lane, and a centrist candidate could take advantage of that dynamic. Biden is seen as the most direct competition for the blue-collar working-class vote that Trump won in 2016. That's a little bit disturbing, because from the Washington Post there, that's what they think. But, of course, there's a really it's hard to believe that once there's actually, the thing with Biden is, and with Schultz too, it's going to be really hard to make a case for him being a working class type guy when his actual record, his incredible ties to Wall Street, his really shady, just bad atmosphere like that he's done around tough on crime policies around Anita Hill, and the possibility that he has some things in his closet. He's got some problems. He's also incredibly prone to gaffes. He's incredibly prone to helping Republicans across the finish line, as I just mentioned, in those elections, and he expects to win a Democratic primary. I think that's a little ridiculous. So, he should just calm down. So, Bloomberg issued, Michael Bloomberg, another one of the moderates considering to jump in the race, he issued a sharply worded statement outlining why an independent candidate would enable a Trump victory in 2020, but a source from the Bloomberg camp disputed the notion that there's no lane for a moderate Democratic candidate. Look at the Democrats that just won in the midterms, largely moderate suburban Democrats. The Ocasio-Cortez types tend to be the exception. Okay, there's a whole other rebuttal to that I don't even want to get into. And the New York Times' Alexander Burns scoop last week that Biden accepted again, this is what I was referring to, $200,000 to address a Republican-leaning audience in Michigan, praising his friend Fred Upton of Michigan. And this is, again, this is the idea of what people hate. Like, people who supposedly are good people, a la Joe Biden, coming out and talking to the Republicans who have time and time again passed things that actively hurt people, and those policies are not popular just because, they're friends, we'll do it. Tone deaf is what a source close to Biden's team dubbed overtures to Republicans in the Trump era as, and I think he's absolutely right about that there. And of course Meghan McCain tweeted out to this news, "This is why so many people love you too, though, Joe Biden." He said to Joe Biden, said of Joe Biden, Meghan McCain, obviously a big Joe Biden guy, and they literally cried over John McCain's death together. Honestly, who cares what Meghan McCain thinks? So, of course, Meghan McCain, if you don't know, John McCain's daughter. Judy Woodruff was talking to Susan Collins the other day as well, though, and she said she actually dodged the question about whether or not she was going to endorse Donald Trump for president, which is interesting. So, Wednesday is Trump's 5th consecutive day with no public events, and reporters have not received official readout of his activities. While Trump laid low, his intelligence chief appeared on Capitol Hill to deliver what amounted to a public contradiction of a lot of what POTUS said about the national security challenges facing this country. So this is the threat assessment. Per North Korea, Code said that North Korea was unlikely to completely give up its nuclear weapons and production capabilities, which country leaders consider critical to the regime's survival. So that's the view from our intelligence officials on North Korea. U.S.-Mexico border. None of the officials said there's a security crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border, where Trump has considered declaring a national emergency so he could build the wall. Coates noted that high crime rates and a weak job market are likely to spur immigrants from Central America to cross the United States. He also sounded optimistic that Mexico will cooperate with the Trump administration to address the violence and the flow of illegal drugs, problems that Trump has said Mexico isn't addressing sufficiently. So there is some hope for optimism, and again, from our intelligence officials, from Trump's intelligence officials, the strong word there is no security crisis. So that's all very interesting stuff. ISIS. Coates told the lawmakers that the Islamic State would continue to stoke violence in Syria. He was backed up by the written review, which said that there are thousands of fighters in Iraq and Syria and a dozen Islamic State networks around the world. Just last month, Trump said that we've won against ISIS, we've beaten them, and we've beaten them badly, announcing the withdrawal of American troops from Syria. So again, still, it's a tough situation really to abide by, because you really want the troops out, and then you really don't want ISIS, though, on the other hand, to just come right back to where they were. And it's something that's happened before, and something that we've seen time and time and again. It was something that I talked about yesterday, and it's a story that really we're going to have to continue to watch to make sure that our American officials handle this one right. So, over in Iran, this should be interesting. The officials assessed that the government of Iran was not trying to build a nuclear weapon, despite the Trump administration's persistent claims that the country had been violating the terms of an international agreement forged during the Obama administration. The officials told lawmakers that Iran was in compliance with the agreement, known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, and some officials had previously said privately, according to Harris. That is, who is that? Sorry. I cannot find who's Chris Wray, Daniel Coates, and several. That's one of the intelligence officials who testified there. That's a reporter. Who wrote it up? Shane Harris of the Washington Post. All right, so there we go on that. That's pretty much all you need to know on the. Oh, we forgot China and Russia. That's my apology. Coates now minced words in describing the strategic risk posed by China and Russia, which Coates said are more aligned than at any other point since the mid-1950s. It's very, very interesting. That's something to watch there. But I mean, I don't know if we can see how much of an immediate threat there is there. But again, that's all the things to watch. So there's a threat assessment from across the world today, courtesy of our intelligence officials. All right. NBC News' Chris Hayes first broke the news the Democrats had tapped Stacey Abrams. I really love that choice to deliver the Trump State of the Union speech on February 5th. Abrams is being heavily courted, according to Politico's James Arkin, to run in Georgia's Senate race in 2020, a move that would play in a state that has not gone blue in 2 decades and could help reshape the party's path to retaking the Senate majority. That could be interesting. I would like to see her run, and this is again a great choice because it's really a thing that no one could get mad at. Like Republicans, they could not Republicans, but the centrists and the Democratic Party, they like her. They think she's a woman of color. How nice that is. They kind of tend to look past really some of her more progressive policies. But the left wing also loves her because of those progressive policies and because she's a strong speaker. She's really actually a nice politician. She's really authentic, and she's really, and this is the important part, she knows what she's going to do. She's going to come through, and she's going to hopefully respond to Trump's speech well. And I think it's going to be very interesting for her. It's going to be a big night to stand up and possibly really make a wave. All right, so gone in a generation. The continental United States is 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than it was a century ago, although it doesn't feel like it today. Seas at the coast are 9 inches higher. The damage is mounting for those fundamental changes, and Americans are living it. These are some of the stories from video journalist Zoanne Murphy and environmental reporter Chris Mooney. They're all out in the Washington Post today, talking about the Gabe Lauderdale set of fires. They start earlier, they last longer. From Maine to California to Hurricane Florence, it's also really some pretty incredible stuff. Rhode Island, all those coastal areas where people really just have had to move. But on the other hand, you're going to need to stay inside because in some places, for example, Minneapolis and Chicago, the temperature is going to be negative 33 and negative 27 degrees respectively. Where right now in Antarctica, it's just 10. So it's going to be a lot of fun if you're in Chicago or Minneapolis today. It's going to be, frankly, awful. So Russia continues on the global stage to reassert itself, on the other hand. But, just seriously, though, stay inside. John Hudson and Ellen Nakashima broke a fascinating story over at the Washington Post. That marks yet another attempt by Russia to reassert itself beyond its borders by offering North Koreans a nuclear power plant in exchange for dismantling of its nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. So, make violent nuclear missiles for energy. It could be interesting. Hudson Nakashima reported the secret proposal was offered to North Korea last fall and aimed at resolving the deadlocked negotiations with the Trump administration over North's nuclear weapons program. So, here's the quote. Russians are very opportunistic when it comes to North Korea, and this is not the first time they pursued an energy stake in Korea. Victor Cha, a former White House staff member who the Trump administration considered nominating last year to serve as U.S. ambassador to South Korea. Previous administrations have not welcomed these Russian overtures, but with Trump, you never know because he won't adhere to traditional thinking. And this is the thing. It's because diplomats and analysts familiar with Russia's actions said that Moscow has a long-time interest in creating an energy link between Siberia and East Asia, as well as being viewed as a problem solver for geopolitical crises. And that would be very interesting if they're able to figure that one out. So possibility of a peace in North Korea and no more nuclear weapons coming from Russia, of all places. Would you believe that? All right, that's today's show. We are out of here a little bit earlier today, so thank you so much for listening. Sorry, though, we did come to you a little bit late. It's been the Wake Up. Thank you for staying with us this week.